So
Every day is Friday, Peter. Yes, every day
yeah,
over at Prosperity Movement is Friday. That's how I like to describe when you really know that you've hit your level of like, maybe not your level, because there's always new levels to go, but a really good indication that you've arrived somewhere special in your journey is when every day feels like Friday. Because when you're at a job and you know what Monday feels like, you know what Wednesday feels like, and you know what Friday feels like. Ugh. It's like
ugh,
that guy that you're talking about at the cubicle, ugh, right?
yeah,
But when you are just excited to get out of bed every single day and it all feels like Friday, that's the best.
yeah,
That's my favorite.
yeah. And shouldn't that be kind of the feeling when you're ready to trade? It should not be a ugh. It should be a I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm gonna sit down. I'm gonna follow the rules, follow the process. I'm ready. That's the kind of community that we build, right? Because even if you have a lesson day where things don't go your way that day, doesn't matter. You learn something. I guarantee it. And if you didn't, you got to review your recording and to find something to learn, right? Because that's the reality of it.
So, what are the secrets? How do some of the most successful entrepreneurs find the freedom that we all got into business for in the first place? How did they find the time, energy, and resources to launch and scale strong? And how do entrepreneurs like us align our time, money, and energy in a way that will allow us to reach what we set out to achieve? These are the key questions, and this community will give you the answers. Welcome to the Prosperity Movement. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, for the thousands in attendance and the millions watching at home, welcome to the Prosperity U podcast.
Very well done. I love it.
Okay, yeah.
This is where we like to come together as a team, as a team with the Prosperity Movement here, to shed any form of wisdom. And most of the time, the wisdom bits that we talk about and discuss as a team have to do with observations in our community or even with our marketing and some of the comments that we see there. And honestly, if we talk to someone and they give us attitude, we feel really bad for them. Like that's our general consensus. Like, man, it's going to take them a while. They got a lot to learn before they're ready for this step.
So are
So
we recording on Facebook right now? Or I know we're
yeah.
recording, but if we can get on Facebook, that would be awesome. So the topic today is obviously community. Like
Yeah.
that's what we're diving into, because that's the whole kind of the overarching message for this week. So I'd love to hear from Travis on this. Can you lead us on the whole community and unity type concept?
Okay. Straight under the bus we go. Okay, awesome. No preparation work. I was just introduced, like you guys listening right now, to the subject of this podcast. So I have absolutely no grounding on that. Thank you, Brian. Give me some context. Let me help me with that. What do you want to hear about community? Because there's a lot of different
I got you.
Well,
aspects.
I mean, in the context of trading and really anything in general, whether it's like the whole point of Prosperity U podcast is that yes, we have a company called Prosperity Movement and we have a university called Prosperity U. Ultimately, like we want to help people with like life principles, wisdom principles, right? And like just getting around this concept of, I mean, we've heard of Stephen Covey talk about you are the direct reflection of the 5 people you spend most time with. Like I've always said that I don't consider myself to be the best, but I like to surround myself with the best in their respective fields. If there's something that I want to get good at, I want to hang out with someone who is the best at what that thing is that I want to get good at. Because the law of osmosis is that it's going to rub off. Right. So like, I mean, there's things that we can learn from people who have made mistakes as well. We like to talk a lot about relationships. We talk about the 4 pillars of prosperity, time. We talk about health. We talk about relationships and of course, legacy, finances. But in this case, we do have a community of traders that are coming in to, want to completely dominate in this space. so that they can drive more impact and income, so they can do more of the things they love with the people they love most. Let's just cover the gamut. Let's go from the heart, lead with the spirit, if you will.
Yeah, I got something to kind of chime in with. I can't remember exactly who it was, and I think love him or hate him, it doesn't matter for this topic. Okay, I think it was Andrew Tate talking about this, and he goes, if you go and you get your, like, back in the day, the barbershop was a destination for guys to meet, camaraderie, hanging out, like that was their community, right? And you would know about things in life in your community, your town and stuff based off of your conversations with barbershop, right? That's kind of old school, right? We don't really do that anymore. But he goes, if you're at a barbershop and you're talking, like, if everyone there was I can't remember exactly what he said, maybe ice cream maker or something, because if everyone there was some sort of ice cream businessman, right? You think if you went to that barbershop for a year and all they did was talk about ice cream, that you'd probably learn how to build an ice cream business, make really good ice cream, sell the ice cream really well, and, like, you would probably know all of that, right? It's the same concept when it comes to trading or just life in general. If you're hanging around a bunch of people who are Debbie Downers, you're probably going to learn how to be a really good Debbie Downer, right? If you're hanging around a lot of winners, you're probably going to learn how to be a winner too. When you like to say, when it comes to money and trading and stuff, right? If you hang around people who know how to work around, like, the tax laws to make it beneficial, and business laws and such, right, to build out entities and such, all that sounds kind of intimidating. But if you're hanging around people who are telling you these things often, every day, for a long period of time, a year, 2 years or so, you think you're going to learn something? Probably will. And so the idea of community is not just, like, hey, hi, want to hold my hand and be held accountable. It's to network and surround yourself with people who are going to uplift you as well as you uplift other people. Okay. So I think that's a really important way to kind of bring it all home for a sec.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I think, I think about, and I was always kind of the weirdo in my jobs, the jobs I've had.
You still
Is that
are.
a surprise? I was I was like I was the one excited to be there every day. When people walk into an office, like when I was an engineer, we had like these cubicles, and when people would walk in, they'd be like, here I am again, another day, and I'd be in there, I'd be like, good morning, and I'd be trying to high five people, and they'd be like, dude, just leave me alone.
Yeah, man, you are weird like that, and I love that. That's my favorite weirdness about you.
Yeah. So, but
Zach's a happy Monday kind of guy.
He's a happy every second kind of guy. Like he's if somebody was to say Mr. like the jolly man on the street, or like he's like Santa Claus all the time.
I'm a bald Santa Claus.
Yeah, he's got that holy juice going. Every day is Friday, Peter. Yes, every day over at Prosperity Movement is Friday. That's how I like to describe when you really know that you've hit your level of, like, maybe not your level, because there's always new levels to go, but a really good indication that you've arrived somewhere special in your journey is when every day feels like Friday. Because when you're at a job and you know what Monday feels like, you know what Wednesday feels like, and you know what Friday feels like, it's like that guy that you're talking about at the cubicle, right?
Yeah.
But when you are just excited to get out of bed every single day and it all feels like Friday, that's the best.
Yeah.
That's my favorite.
Yeah. And shouldn't that be kind of the feeling when you're ready to trade? It should not be it should be I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm going to sit down. I'm going to follow the rules, follow the process. I'm ready. That's the kind of community that we build, right? Because even if you have a lesson day where things don't go your way that day, doesn't matter. You learn something. I guarantee it. And if you didn't, you got to review your recording and to find something to learn, right? Because that's the reality of it. So I would say that I love that, and your environment really, really does dictate your attitude. Yeah, I've got like a million examples.
Talking about the making your bed thing. Like, if you can't even make your bed, which I don't, by the way. What if you can't even make your bed or clean your room? Is it clean your room? And that's something that is 100% in your control. How do you expect to go out to the world and be successful when there's so many things outside of your control? Jordan Peterson might be listening to this at some point. We're like, that's not what I said, but I think that's what he said. Okay, so something close to that.
Speaking of Jordan Peterson, just to go down a little bit of a rabbit hole right now, because I absolutely love him. You know how he talks about like it's better to be a dangerous man in control of that
Yeah.
than to not be dangerous. And like he really promotes like be a dangerous man, like have the ability, like if the quiet guy in the corner who can literally like take care of everybody in the room at any point in time, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
he doesn't because he's controlled. Like that is something really special, and that's one of the better to be a warrior in the garden than a gardener in the warrior. Yeah, thank you, Guy Beal. And Dave Swanson says he needs to work on the beard.
He's saying I need to be Santa Claus.
Oh, there you go. I see. Better to be a warrior in the garden, though, Guy Beal says, than a gardener in a war. Yeah, that's very, very, very powerful. So good. That's why I've been practicing judo recently, and I know that Israel's been going to Muay Thai, and just he's like, I want to be a weapon, and it's true. You want to be able to be that, like, men. Let's rise, boys. Let's go from boys to men. Chime in on that. What is that?
You got to
Is
be
that one of
careful,
those
Brian.
music-
You might not be able to fly anymore if you're carrying deadly weapons with you.
It's
Wow.
interesting. Dave Swanson and I were actually, because he's here, so I just love calling out people that are in the room. But we were at a special event, like a week long seminar, and we were actually hanging out with an individual who is like government, like he's got a special pass when he goes through the airport. He had his ladies with him, okay, and his ladies are your guns, okay. So it was like interesting to be in a group with this guy, and we actually have a call with him once a month. But this guy is like can receive contracts at times to go take care of
Take care of things.
that. Go take care of things. And not only that, he's he's a chaplain. He was a chaplain, a killer chaplain. Like, that is insane. And that
Nice.
gets into a whole different topic of like, I mean, Zach, we're gonna have to get back on topic here pretty quick, but it's fun to roll off a little bit. But
Yeah.
you know, in the Bible, what does it say? It says that thou shalt not murder. But there's a difference between. Didn't you do an episode?
I did a podcast on it. Yeah, I don't know if now is the right time without context, but the actual commandment is not thou shalt not kill. It is
Are we talking about community or murders? Like,
What are we talking about now?
Yeah.
So if you misbehave in our community, I'm just kidding.
We just went down a little rabbit hole. Keep going though, because this is good. Because I mean, hey, we're men of faith here, so
Yeah.
it's an opportunity.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's one of those things, you know, I talk to a lot of people that think very logically. It's a gifting that I have, and when I talk to people that think this along the same lines, a lot of times when we talk about God and those kinds of topics, they'll bring up contradictions, right? They'll be like, well, God says thou shalt not kill, and then the flood, right? And then he, genocide, basically, right? So like people, I've had that happen to me many, many times. And so I always love to like study those contradictions to see and get some clarity on it, right? And so I did a deep dive into that particular contradiction, and it's actually not. The Hebrew form of the word kill in the commandment, thou shalt not kill, it actually means murder. And there's many, many other examples and stories in the Bible that explain the difference, actually. So
what's the difference between killing and murder?
I'm gonna have to pull up my notes.
One is a justifiable, and the other one is unjustifiable.
So sort of. It's like oh man, I wish I had my notes prepared, because I had it down in that podcast.
Well, you can point to the podcast then.
Yeah. There's a podcast with a really creative name. It's called Bible Study with Zach.
So creative.
It's very creative and original. Find that. It's actually, I think, the second episode.
I'm going to go back and listen to it because I actually want to dive deeper into that because I want to understand the difference between the two. But like that was a Jordan Peterson down a rabbit hole.
Kind of the point is like if you join the military, right, and you have to shoot someone, like you're not breaking God's commandment there. That's kind of the point. So
right.
we'll
thus there was a chaplain that we met that had a whole suitcase of quote unquote ladies guns that he could go through the airport with because he had a special pass. So
my wife and I were watching the movie called Legion, which is very inaccurate with some of the biblical talkings that it has. But anyways, it was kind of scary, and these guys had a bunch of guns, and she goes, that's why we need your guns, Travis. Because she did not like the idea of all my ladies in my household until that movie. She kind of like, you know what, it's a good idea to keep those around.
There you go. Now she's starting to understand. There you go. I wish we were able to do that more in Canada. Sheesh. Yeah. Anyways, on to community. Community and guns and community.
There are so many benefits to community. And actually, Travis mentioned one of them. He kind of in passing, he actually said, community is more than just about accountability, blah, blah, blah. No, accountability is a huge piece of the equation, especially holding each other accountable to having an effective perspective, right? So like Brian Travis and I do this all the time, where if one of us starts like complaining or like going down kind of a negative rabbit hole, the other two are like, hey, you, let's come back. Let's come back. Let's look at this. Let's look at what we can learn. Let's look at how we can make changes instead of just focusing on the problem.
Or the question, is that an effective thought process? Well, and that's the biggest thing. We always come back to this problem and solution orientation. Like, are you going to be a problemary individual or a solutionary individual? It's really up to you. You get to decide. There's a promise, biblically, there's a promise that you're going to have many trials in life. And whether or not you want to read that or anything, here's the reality of the scenario. Everybody on this call, everybody listening to this call, everybody tuning in from wherever you are, whenever you are, the promise is this: you're going to have many trials in life. There's no such thing as not having trials. There's no such thing as not having problems. What makes the difference between a thousandaire, a millionaire, and a billionaire? What makes Elon Musk so unique that he can be in that category of billionaire?
I mean, solves a bigger problem.
Bigger problems. How many times do you think that guy, resourcefulness guy Beal says, but how many times do you think that guy fails in a day in comparison to the normal human being?
Oh, a ton.
Right?
So I don't know. Have you ever heard the story with SpaceX? So before they actually got a government like contract and stuff, he had to prove that the rockets could do what he's saying it's going to do, and that required quite a big investment. Obviously, the first 3 attempts failed, scrapped, blew up, whatever. That 4th rocket was pretty much everything on the line. Like all of his own resources in on it. He ended up firing one of his rocket scientists, and then he bought a book about rocket science, read it, and fixed the problem himself. Like it's the most insane story. So talking about resourcefulness, he put everything in. He was all in. He dug in, got his hands dirty, and figured out whatever the problem was, and then that one was successful.
That reminds me of you and us into a lot of different degrees, because have you ever been in a scenario where you've spent, like, I remember I was in the music industry. I was in the music industry for over a decade, and I will never forget, I spent I think $5,000 on a website with a WordPress designer. And that person, every time I wanted to make a change to the website, would charge me like $500. Okay. And so finally, I got so frustrated with this that I took a course, an online course, and I learned how to do it myself. And I was like, enough is enough. I'm doing this all by myself from this point on. And and all of a sudden, my marketing thing started to kick in. Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's just so interesting that he literally fired the scientist.
Yeah, one of them. Obviously, there's more than one, but he fired like the head one, and then took over that position. had to educate himself very quickly.
A DIY rocket,
pretty much.
And he put everything that he had, and so that he could have went completely. There was nothing left after that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure he would have figured something out at that point too.
Well, I mean, what do they say about millionaires that go bankrupt?
Right. They're a millionaire the next year,
Yeah.
So it's just an interesting, fascinating story. And in the motivation / inspiration for him to do that it's all about his vision about Mars, right? Like that's his whole like life purpose at this point for him. And so he was like, if I can't do this, this is my purpose. I'm figure this out. I'm going to make it happen.
Well, speaking about firing someone and taking control, learning a new skill set, I wonder who's listening to this, who's ready to fire their employment, take control, learn a skill, and make that rocket go, baby. It's a good metaphor, I think.
Oh man, I know we're talking about community, but like, do you guys remember that moment that you had to just jump? I don't know how many entrepreneurs we have on the call right here, right now, but when that moment was where you were, because like I remember there was a point in time when I was like working 5 different jobs, 5 different jobs, and talk about community. The things I was saying no to, I remember working at a liquor store while I was teaching guitar. I was actually doing an online campaign like that was like I had my feet in the door with an Canadian Idol judge, Farley Flex, because of my association with Rod Black and the guy from Jet Black Stare. Well, yeah. So all this, did I ever tell you this story?
No.
Okay. So again, I'm working at the liquor store. I've got I'm teaching kids how to play music. I'm starting a production company. I'm working with Rod Black and gearing up for a tour and doing his online campaign and doing property management for my parents.
What was your position at the liquor store? Were you
I was the clerk, and everybody that walked in swore I was the owner. They literally thought I was the owner but here's the cool thing about working at a liquor store. Just so everybody, you want to talk about resourcefulness, Guy Beal? This is where it got fun. Okay, so I don't know how many people know this, but at a liquor store, there's a window of time where it gets busy, and the rest, as long as the shelves are stocked and everything is clean, guess what? There's nothing to do. You might as well grab a book. So I grabbed my computer and I was working while I was working. I was making, I think somewhere close to $20 an hour or something like that. Could have been 17. I can't remember exactly what it was, but I was doing that while I was working on my production company, while I was working on stuff for Rod Black, doing an online campaign. And I was doing all this stuff while and people would come in and they would be all like, hey, we're going to a party after this. And it was like, oh, cool. Have fun. And I had people come in, and it was funny because I had people that I went to high school with, and they literally made fun of me that I was working at the liquor store. And I was like, you have no idea what I have up my sleeve right now, bro. You don't even know what's coming down the pipe in the next few months. You can go, yeah. So anyways, I digress, but that, do you guys remember that point? Cause after that, it was like full throttle tour with Rod Black. And I've done this multiple times. Even Zach and I, when we were making the transition, I was working at another marketing firm, and that it got cut off right at COVID. And it was a big leap, man. That was a big leap of faith.
Yeah.
That was you had to choose excitement because it was scary. Right.
Yeah,
I don't know about you, but you had that not long after we met too.
Yeah. I gave up a 6-figure income twice. So once as an engineer, granted, okay, that one wasn't technically 6 figures. I was earning like $95K a month or a year, somewhere around there. And I quit that one after I made $500 online. That's foolish. Okay. There's there is a right way and a less right way to do it. But all the same, I don't regret it per se. Would I do it a little bit differently? Probably. Okay. But I did force me to learn freaking fast. And then the second time was when I met Brian, because I was I was running a business that was running me into the ground, and I was making six figures, but at what expense? And in this case, my health was a huge one, and my relationships was the other huge one. And Brian and I hadn't made a dime together. We just really vibed well together. And I'm like, I love what this guy stands for and his mission and his vision and his values. I'm like, I'm just gonna do it. Right. And I knew in the back of my mind, this time it was actually safer, because in the back of my mind, I knew with my marketing expertise, the sky's the limit. I could do pretty much anything, but I want to work with Brian. So let's make that work.
Context, a little bit more context, a little bit more jam and juice. Ladies and gentlemen, this guy is so humble. This guy was working with Joel Bauer. Joel Bauer is like the most, I think they call him the most famous guy you've never heard of. Yeah. Because this is the guy who mentored Tony Robbins, Russell Brunson, Peng Joon. Like, was Peng Joon on that list?
Yeah, Peng Joon, Dan Lok, Joe Vitale.
Like,
huge marketer people.
Yeah, like the people that you see the most, that you're reading their books right now. A lot of the people that you read up on and that you learn from right now learned from him. He's described as the mentor of mentors. And Zach was a pinnacle piece of the equation to taking that company from zero to just scraping 7 figures in 14 months.
Yep. It was not fun. I wish I could say it was fun, but it wasn't. Because the foundation of that business wasn't fully developed. The SOPs, the things that we have in Prosperity Movement weren't there. It was all kind of off the cuff and just go and go and go, and that was driving me into the ground.
And talk about honored, man, because like I think the principles that I talked to you about were just simply, you had me on your podcast a couple of times. And we were just getting started out in business. And when he told me he was quitting his job to come with me, I told him he was crazy and he should not do it.
Yeah. He's like, don't do it, man. Yeah. In my mind, I'm thinking, well, now I've made more than $500 online. This is nothing compared to the last time I did this.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the crazy cool part was that we had 2 people hit our desk within the first, was it the first month?
Yeah.
The first month in our company called Convert on Command. We're a C Corp in Wyoming now because Travis got thrown in the mix, but we started as an S Corp. And basically,
I think it was a C Corp from the beginning.
Was it a C Corp from the beginning?
I thought it was S Corp. It's because of you, because you're a foreigner.
Oh, it's because I'm Canadian. Because yep. I'm Canadian, we couldn't have an S Corp. It had to
trying to blame Travis.
It's a Canadian Corp, C Corp. I was trying to. Sorry, Travis. I didn't mean to throw you on.
Everyone listening, there is a spoken rule within the 3 of us that if there's any problem or anything goes wrong, it's one of their faults, not mine.
And then Travis calls everyone out in the middle of a board meeting and he says, "Okay, everybody ready? Shame on Brian. Shame on Brian. Shame on Brian. Shame, shame, shame." Anyways, it's funny.
It's true.
But yeah, like we had two basically contracts hit our desk that like it was a choice that we basically had. Well, we could have ended up with both.
Yeah.
But this was the power of the mission, vision, values, and your community and your culture needs to be driven by something bigger than yourself, and it needs to be driven by morals and values. And these morals and values drove this is actually come to think of it, this is when you decided, Zach, that you were going to make the shift and change, was after this, because we had a 5-time New York Times bestselling author who had been featured on Oprah 5 times. And I could just tell that when we were talking with this person, that if we were to move forward, although the payday would have been awesome, would have been amazing, we would have been a slave to a system that did not match our mission, vision, and values. And an easy 3 to 5 months, potentially even 6 months would have gone by of Like that was that filter we talked about. Well, if I can't see myself, having this person over for a barbecue, why would we go into business? Doesn't make sense. So I said no to that. And then of course we had, Theo Fleury, Wayne Gretzky handpicked this guy for Team Canada. This guy sang to me at his house. He's an amazing country singer. I got one of my notebooks that I bring with me everywhere. I'm going to have to go get a new one here soon, but he gave me that. What an inspiration. But we got to work with that guy within the first month of business, which was just absolutely amazing. And then that's when Zach had decided he was going to shift over. And then all of a sudden I met Travis. We met in Texas with the whole Rod Black thing. Interestingly enough, in my music career is when we met. And then can you describe a little bit of what your perspective is on like how we kind of came to be? And I might interrupt you every once in a while.
Sure. So we were playing music down in Texas, and I meet this goofball that I love very deeply. Well, about 10 years later, we're basically kind of on the same trajectory, just in completely different countries, not really speaking to each other. I mean, we became really good friends. We were acquaintances before, right? And when you and I started talking, it's because I had quit my job to pursue online entrepreneurship. And this is before trading even existed in my reality. I had no idea it even existed. And I talked to you a couple times, kind of looking for some advice. I think that you try to sell me your guys' marketing for when I was actually still employed. And I was like, I don't want to work here, man. I don't want your marketing. It's from a place I don't want to work. I'm leaving it. And we ended up connecting. Enjoyed our conversations. You helped me a little bit. I think maybe I did a couple of things. I don't remember at this point, but we kept talking, and then you invited me to work with you and Zach, right?
That's a high level, but how it really, really started was I think you were trying to sell me, and we started trying to sell each other. Because
I remember, because you presented, Travis, Better My Soul to me as well. Me and Brian were both on a call. I remember I really liked it.
Yeah. I mean, it's brilliant.
I don't think I was trying to sell you anything. I think I was trying to partner. Like I wanted to use your guys' marketing.
You had just invested into Jeff Lerner's program too.
Mm-hmm.
And I just remember the time when I was like, okay, man, you can keep going and you can do that all by yourself with Jeff Lerner from a mile away, being mentored from afar, or you can come work with the guy that I really exalted and like lifted up. Zach, put him on a pedestal. Or you can come with the top 2% media buyer right here, right now. What's it going to be? And then I think that you had said that you needed to pray about it, and you went. And I think I'll let you take it away from there.
I think it was 2 months before I give you an answer, and it wasn't just like I'm working with Jeff or with Zach. It was just the idea of working again. It felt like I had just quit my job to get another job. I was like, no, I don't want to do that. But then you guys were showing me kind of the back end stuff. I saw some of the numbers, and I was like, oh, I could sell that easy. But can I double it? Can I double the price? And you were like, if I remember correctly, you were like, you can try. So I went, and my first sale was a double the price sale. And then
we doubled the company again. That year. We actually doubled the company
4 times. Yeah. And so I was like, that was fun, but I'm kind of done now. And you're like, well, why don't we partner? And I was like, that sounds awesome. Let's do that. So now we're here. And of course, trading came into the picture too. So
that was interesting. But before we get into that part, I will never forget the call with that soul what was it that solar panel company. There was 3 of us on that call with like how many of their team, and it was like you're not in a board meeting in a real you're on Zoom, but there's so many things that you need to key into on Zoom. Like when people's videos are off, that's an indication, right? And I just remember being like halfway through that meeting, and I'm like, I don't know, what would you consider? How would you describe that Brian back then?
Bold, very, very bold.
I got pretty bold. I basically made a penis
Yeah.
Like because they had their media buyer on, and he was just learning, and he was saying what they were able to do. So then I basically said, "Is this a can I say it? Can I just say it?
Yeah.
Is this a dick measuring contest?
Yeah.
Do you guys want us to pull out ours? Hey Zach, pull out your."
Yeah, this
and
is
so he does, not his dick,
not
but the actual numbers.
Pull out my numbers.
So he pulls out the numbers of the actual, like, what he's able to do with the advertising, and they're just like, boom, boom, boom. Everybody's videos turn on. So now all of a sudden, no videos on screen, or one or two of the guys, to all the videos are on screen. And we brought that one. That's where you said, Travis, you quadrupled the price point on that. But the cool part about that is that company, what did that do for that company?
It tripled their revenue.
It tripled their revenue, and they went on, like, they're still killing it. I just love going back and seeing that we have clients that are doing, like, even that course that we have, Leads on Demand. Like, we have guys that literally, like, within their first sale, like a 30K deal, like that kind of thing. And what did he invest? He invested like 997 or something like that just into the course. Like, insane, cool case studies like that. So that was fun.
That was the most fun, I think, sales call I've ever been on, because it was all three of us, which, I mean, I don't know. I don't want to toot our horn. It's just, you get all three of us on a call, it's as good as sold. I mean, it's as long as they have the means, they're not going to say no.
But I can't wait to see what happens with Israel now, because you hear what he said the other day on his call. He said, if this program was $100,000 and you had to figure out a way to go get it done, would you do it? And what was the answer to that?
The guy said, heck yeah, I'll get a loan. That was the response. Well,
boom, and takes him home. Anyways, I just love that guy. He's cooler than us in so many different ways. But anyway, so then we move from that to all of a sudden the trading, like that was the same thing. Like, so we meet this guy, and should I say his name? Can I say his name? I mean, I know that like at the end of the day, like we still love him. Yeah. It just wasn't a very, strong fit from a culture wise. At some point, we just realized mission, vision, values. We had to move on. Same thing again. It filtered through mission, vision, values. But Justin Singh, he's a guy in Edmonton, Alberta, and he's got you can look him up. He's got a place called Church of John. Absolute brilliant. Like you cannot deny the fact that this is probably one of the most brilliant minds that you probably just be honored to just be in a room with this guy, because he's just so intelligent and very effective, very impactful human being. But he had multiple businesses, and at the beginning of the pandemic, this guy is belly up, and he had to start over. And he just decides to put his nose to the grindstone to learn how to trade Forex. And literally within his first 6 months, he cracks 7 figures. Within his first 16 months, he cracks 8 figures. And there was a time where he had like a $2 million trade day, right? And I just remember it was Colin Kobza, the guy from Boone, the founder of Boonstock. Anyway, it's just crazy. Like, the stories we have are insane to me. Like how we get in the sphere of these.
So one time I was having a beer with Santa Claus, and all of a sudden he told me exactly what I wanted for Christmas. It was crazy.
yeah. So crazy. But it was like Colin Kobza hooks us up with the angle of, okay, we're going to do marketing for this guy. And we got to the point where we always have this process. Well, we need to see the case studies. We need to see the proof in the pudding. So this guy's sending us screenshots of $40,000 trade days a day. $40,000 trades a day. And then we get to a point within weeks, he's doing $100,000 trade days, which is where, Zach, you helped him create a course called the
100K a day asset formula.
So, by the way, we should do something special with that today. Do we still have it? Do we still have it?
I think so.
It's an old gem in a box, is it?
Do you have it packaged in a deliverable, though? Or is it just kind of like dusty files?
It's a dusty file. I think it's a dusty file that we could kind of get Donald to do something with.
I think the fun part of that would actually be to showcase how complicated the old strategy was, because
Okay. Do
because
you
the
want to do
100K,
something with that next week on the podcast?
maybe, yeah, maybe
Ooh,
that'd be fun.
that sounds fun.
Let's show a little bit of a difference. Let
Okay.
me here's my chart before, here's my chart after.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good idea. That's a really good idea. So let's have some fun with that next week. But yeah. So this 100K a day asset formula is what derives from this. And that's where you learned your skill set to be able to take that 590K in 90 days.
Yeah, from Justin. And I would ask him questions and stuff. I didn't really get on a lot of one-on-ones with him. I think I did one or two during that time. But what he taught me, I just kind of, it clicked, I was like, oh, okay, that's a trend. Okay, that's support and resistance. All right. I get what these indicators do. And I started kind of putting where my creativity comes into play is I like to kind of personify the chart. Right. So like when the red and green line are close together, it's Mr. Claus and Mrs. Claus making out. Like
It's the third reference to Santa Claus on this podcast.
I know.
Things are ready for Christmas.
we're coming to Christmas time.
Yeah.
Actually, funny enough, just this morning, I did a trading session with the community, and somebody commented on some of the candles where the candle would go like green and then red and then green and then red, back and forth. And I'm like, no, we don't like those. Those are Christmas candles. Bah humbug. We don't want Christmas candles. So, but I think the point is my brain, I like to like personify the things, and it helps me to remember the things. And so then I don't miss out on some of those key parts to look at. And I put those things in the course all the time, like a Chihuahua candle and like stuff like that. Like it's just really fun to me. So it kind of clicked with me with Justin pretty quick, obviously. And it was a blast. And we, again, basically the three of us had decided to give up an income, which was our marketing agency, to then pursue a new avenue
over here
with trading.
I gave up a $20,000 a month salary to work with you guys.
Yep.
And that was scary.
Were living on credit.
But I'm
at
super
that time,
happy that I did.
And you were living on credit at that time, if I remember as well.
Yeah, I mean, I had a little cash, but it was mostly things going on the credit card.
Yeah.
27% APR. Oh my gosh, it was crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I do gotta say, I want to back up a little bit to talk about Zach and like what Zach does with taking.
With both of you guys, actually, I'm right here in the middle. I don't know if I am on your guys' side, but with you guys, I quit that because I saw that the community with you guys was more valuable than 20,000 a month. That literally is what that means.
Sounds like the mission, vision, values to me. Is that what really hooked you in?
And the idea of having a strong community, I saw that would be more beneficial in the long term than for me to go and make a quick buck over somewhere else.
And isn't it interesting, Travis, too? Like, because if I couldn't be doing any of this stuff by myself, like I had done some business stuff on my own, of course, but the amount that I've learned and the amount that I've grown because we have a team, because we have a community, is absolutely insane. The people that we've been able to connect with, like James Leone, right? That's an insane connection. How do we get James Leone on our team of all people?
I went on a podcast again.
Yeah, Brian's got it.
That's what I do. I'm like, yeah, that's my area.
Other people we're meeting. Like we're looking into working.
Dave
with
Swanson
Project
is on this call right now. Like in some of the conversations and where that's leading to at this moment in time is just absolutely insane. I'm not even going to talk about the meeting I had yesterday because it's still in development. But even there, like there's just so much juice. And then, like you said, Daniel.
Lawrence Lopez.
Lawrence Lopez. What this year is going to bring just from these connection points.
Yeah,
and it's interesting because we've been able to, like, through the power of a podcast, and now for the first time ever, we're just getting in front of real like we're getting in front of, like, these are real meetings and board meetings now. Do you know what I mean? Like this is This is what we've done.
We don't write our letters in crayon anymore. We are using pencil now. We are pencil users. And soon we're going to be ball
and
pen.
Ballpoint pen.
I thought you were
Soon
going
after
back
that, fountain pens.
Okay.
There you go.
There you go.
Yeah, well, and this is my point, though, is that the three of us, none of us could have gotten this far this fast or met with these kinds of folks as effectively if we were trying to do it by ourselves.
That's community. That's mission, vision, values. Like, that's the big thing. What do we want to give to people today that I feel would really help them? Like, first of all, like, I know Guy is always on these books and he's probably already read this book, but if you have not read, this is just a like complete value. Like, it'll change your life. If you haven't done this is something that is going to change your life. And this is a promise, because both Travis and I went through this, and Travis developed his program and probably, made it. I don't know if we can go as far as to say it hasn't been released yet, but it's quite possible that he's taken it to another level. But Living Forward by Michael Hyatt and Daniel Harkavy. That book completely changed our life. I mean, Travis, you were living behind a barn in a trailer. And then all of a sudden you did
say in a trailer behind a barn. It sounds
in a trailer.
You're behind a barn.
I was living in a van down by the river. That's the life I was living there for a bit. But yeah, you were living in a barn. No, not in a barn. I got married in a barn. I'm serious. It was called the wedding barn. But anyway, keep going. You were living in a trailer behind a barn.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I was.
And then,
is there a question? I didn't catch a question.
Yeah, you read the book. From reading this book, Living Forward, it completely changed things for you. From that circumstance to
if anything, if you boil it down to just one thing, it's just intentionality. Doing things intentionally. Okay. And just for a couple examples, when you're eating, eat intentionally. Don't just eat because you're hungry. Eat healthy foods and plan it out and or meal prep or do something. There's so many ways to skin that cat. Take care of your health. Take care of what you're eating. Take care of your sleep. Sleep intentionally. Just don't go to bed just when you're tired. Go to bed at a bedtime every day and make your circadian rhythm function correctly, right? And so on and so forth. Of course, there's more than just your sleep and your food, but taking care of your entire life with intentionality is what that book really inspired me to do. And of course, I believe when people live intentionally, that there's going to be an outcome. Okay.
Lots of. And then he cracked six figures in how long?
Oh, I mean, I think it was only about 6 months or so.
Okay, so less than the time it took to have a baby. You cracked 6 figures.
Yeah.
So that obviously results not typical. Don't go think that you're going to go read this book and crack 6 figures in 6 months.
It's not a financial book at all.
It's not. It's an intentional.
I just lived
book.
Intentionally and started doing things with other skills.
It pulls out your truest desires, what you truly desire, and it helps you to back engineer them with full intentionality. So that's what I would highly recommend to absolutely anybody, is just go read that book, Living Forward. It's a prerequisite for our team.
Another
name of the author, please, Peter. It is by it would be Michael Hyatt and Daniel Harkavy. They teamed up on it.
Another benefit to
Hey Brian,
killing me.
I'm sorry. I was just living in my own head there for a second. Zach, take it away.
No, you're good. I'm going on my own little road here. So you go ahead.
Well, I was thinking about the adventure challenge, and I think that Brian, you said that you met somebody who was associated with that book
I know, series. Crazy. The one of the guys that I was bunked with at the same place that I met Dave Swanson here. One of the guys that I was bunked with is actually he's engaged to the one of the founders of the Adventure Challenge.
Oh wow!
Which is it's crazy small world. Like I can't even make up half these stories. It's what happens when you spend $10,000. Sorry, I don't spend. When you invest $10,000 into bettering yourself, Like
Yeah.
incredible things start to happen when you truly decide that you're going to invest into yourself. So whether
Mhm.
you're going to invest with us into our program and jump in and get in on an easy monthly payment that's going to be roughly the same amount as going out on a hot date with your wife, not at McDonald's, but dinner and a movie type thing, once a month to get access to 6, 7, and 8-figure earners. That's up to you. You can do that here. You can go to some of the other things that we'll highly recommend to you if you're looking for other ways to drive more impact and income and you want some guidance. We're happy to guide you through other avenues that we go through ourselves. Like, we just want to see you win. We're here to help you, not hurt you. We're here to help you. Right.
Actually,
so glad to see you here.
That's a perfect segue into what I was going to say earlier. So
Okay.
the other part about community and about having a team and working together and doing those kinds of things, and being a part of that, is that what we're doing is we're building out a system to create wealth that will last for generations. And the way that we're doing it, obviously what we've done, we went over some of our histories here in our experience in marketing and sales and business, right? And then eventually we got into trading, and we found that trading is just a faster vehicle to ultimately accomplish our mission, which is to help people do more of the things they love with the people they love most. And so we found trading to be a faster vehicle, not ignoring the business and the value of business and marketing and sales. Quite the contrary, right?
There's a diversification focus in there.
Exactly. When you through trading and through that vehicle, when you start to have more time control, where you're spending less than 10 hours a week and more than supporting your family and making other investments to grow your wealth further. When you're at that point, now you can actually focus on what you think your purpose is, because I could almost guarantee you that your purpose is not trading. Very few people that would be the purpose. Now, the way you use your money to further your purpose and what you discovered to be your purpose, that's the key. And that could be the form of a business. And
to be fair, if I may, I don't mean to cut you off. I do, actually. I'm doing it intentionally. I'm intentionally cutting you off. Your purpose is something that you could find along the way. Okay.
Yes.
And this is also why I highly encourage reading Living Forward by Michael Hyatt and Daniel Harkavy, is because you could find the areas that are going to help you drive more impact and income so that you can do the things that you want to do with more impact, plain and simply. But like, if you're already in a spot where you feel like you're being bogged down and you're swimming in whether could be a whole bunch of things. It could be a marriage that isn't exactly where you want it to be. It could be that you're living the 9-to-5 grind and it just like bogging you out and you dread Mondays and all that kind of stuff. And now you want to get to what you truly desire and what you truly want. You want to be able to see how you can chunk that out and be impactful with your time so you can back engineer it. Well, we have all of those moving pieces for you with intentionality to help you get there. So your purpose is not something that you're going to get just through our course, but it is something that you can definitely uncover and back engineer at a more accelerated rate, is the way that I would describe it, because you have intrinsic purpose. Everybody listening on this call, you have intrinsic purpose. It's already there. Some of you just need to dust it off. It's like that unlimited potential that's already inside of you, just waiting to come out. It just wants to burst out of you. Like, we want to give you every single one of the tools to be able to help you do that.
100%. Yeah, if you don't already know or believe that you know what your purpose is, I don't think that purpose can be found by any other means than action alone. Doing things, trying new things, right? It just sitting and thinking about it is, what does sitting and thinking do for anybody? I guess we need action, intentional action. If we can summarize the whole conversation down to one thing, is intentional action with community. You have to use that in there too, right?
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, like community, intentional action with community. You got it, because like it's the direct reflection of the 5 people you're going to spend most time with, and if you can plug into bigger communities and pods of other 5s and other 5s, that's what we're doing now. we got our top 5. And actually, what is our board meeting at now? How many people show up for that thing on a weekly basis? And you said you wanted to open it up to the community every once in a while for them to come in and see what goes on as well, didn't you?
Yeah.
But how many people on that now? It's like 9 or 10 or like.
Yeah. Well, let me see. We've got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have 8. We have 8 that show up regularly.
Israel and Dave are counted in there?
I'm sorry. With Israel's 9.
With Israel's 9. Okay, so
Yeah.
Dave Wimbush is in there too. So so we got 9 people that show up for that board meeting. And now imagine the power of what happens when you have these teams in a pod. So think of like Stephen Covey will talk about the direct reflection of the 5 people you spend most time with. Okay, well, we got 9 now that we spend most time with throughout the week. Okay, now you take that pod of people and how many other pods of world changers, and what can the impact be? What can the impact of that be? This is where we're moving in 2024. That's what gets me excited.
Yeah.
I didn't know sure if we were going to be able to come full circle and get back to this at this conclusion after we went into murder and Santa Claus, but somehow we came full circle and it all actually makes sense. That was incredible.
Cents and dollars.
Well done, boys.
Yeah, very good. Hey, listen, I gotta boot Scoot and Boogie because I gotta actually go to a Music Center Canada or MCC Studios here in Calgary because we're actually shooting a music video for Shape of Our Charts. It's a spin-off of Sting's song. We love Sting. And this was James's creation, his mind baby. It was just absolutely brilliant. But I recorded a song for James. He sent me the lyrics where he redid Shape of My Heart by Sting, and we've turned it into Shape of Our Charts. So I'm going to go shoot that video with Israel this afternoon. But for those that are listening, listen, if you haven't gotten the blueprint yet, we want to give you a gift. And was there another gift that we wanted to get? I think we've given a lot of value on this. I'm going to save some for the next round. But go to prosperitymovement.online, and there's a little chat bubble at the right-hand lower corner that's going to pop up. Just put your information in there and just say blueprint and send, and boom, we're going to send you the blueprint completely complimentary. And we can't wait to welcome you on the other side of this. Come on home, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, everybody. Have a good one. Talk to you later.
Chat soon. Bye for now.